Hello and welcome back to Tidbit of Torah. This time of year, bar and bat mitzvah students around the globe face what I might call the Vayikra dilemma, which is how to make meaning out of a book of Torah largely about animal sacrifice, a practice we no longer do in today's modern world. And on the one hand, I can deeply relate to this challenge, especially when we look at Vayikra in comparison to the books of Torah before it, Shemot and Bereshit, which have on the surface more relatable narratives to us as human beings. And on the other hand, as a parent, as well as a rabbi, leader, and human being, I find that the book of Vayikra at large and our Parshat Tzav specifically are incredibly relatable, rich, and meaningful because we all sacrifice. We sacrifice our time, our resources, and of ourselves every day of our lives. Sacrifice can be, as Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks once said, the choreography of love. When we are in the living room on the floor, playing blocks with our children, or driving carpool, or in an intense, long conversation with someone who truly needs our time and our listening ears, we can be in a moment of sacrifice and service as a true act of love that is meaningful on the deepest spiritual level. But there are other times in our lives as parents and people where sacrifice is beyond that zone of being loving, meaningful, and sustainable for us. Interestingly, the same root for sacrifice, for one of the roots of sacrifice in Hebrew, Ayin Vav Daled, which means avodah, which means work, sacrifice, service, or even prayer, is the same root that comes up in the Hebrew word for slavery. As we will say at our Passover Seders next week, Avadim Chayinu, we were slaves. Sometimes relationships of service and sacrifice with an unhealthy power dynamic, an element of addiction, or unequal can become ones that enslave us or no longer serve us. And also, on the other end of the spectrum, sometimes self-sacrifice can lead to so much martyrdom that it even becomes idolatry. When we give up so much of ourselves that we risk being unhealthy, unsustainable, or not being able to be in an act of love that's aligned with our values anymore. And so it's up to each one of us with the value and wisdom of our Torah, Vayikra, and the holiday of Passover upon us. It's up to each one of us to ask ourselves the question, where is that sweet spot of sacrifice as loving service in our lives to our children and others? And where are the places that we are sacrificing ourselves in a way that runs us down, makes us feel enslaved or unhealthy? I remember once as a child, my mom made me toast and it got terribly burnt. And I wondered why she then ate the toast herself. I asked her, Mom, why didn't you just put the toast in the compost and make new toast for yourself along with me? And you know what she said? She said, Sarah, I actually like it this way. And it's true. To this day, my mom's toast looks more like a burnt offering than a piece of bread. And I learned in that moment that it is only truly up to each one of us as parents or as people to determine what is sacrifice in our life that is nourishing and meaningful and uplifting, and what is self-sacrifice in our life that doesn't serve us. And so in this time where we're reading the book of Vayikra, and as we head into a holiday of questions over Passover, I invite each one of us to explore how sacrifice in our life can be both meaningful, but also where there might be areas of our life where sacrifice doesn't feel as serving, as sustainable, or as healthy for us. And I hope that we can move into a deeper, more positive relationship where sacrifice as loving service in our lives while letting go, just like of the chametz, of the parts of our life where we give too much to the point of depletion, or we engage in unhealthy relationships with people or things that no longer serve us. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Kasher V'Sameach, a happy Passover to you and your family.